Now I gotta ride or die.
So guys, welcome back to the channel. Today you join me from the driver's seat of a freshly supercharged E92 M3, a car that I've wanted to drive for a while. Ooh, that my friend Tristan has been building over the last couple of months. Yeah, this is a big boy car, big boy brakes, big boy power. But we're going to send it down some B-roads today, see what this thing is like to drive, talk about how much this car was to build and what it's really like owning a 600 plus brake horsepower E92 M3. As ever guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, but onwards to the B-roads. We're interrupting today's video to give a massive thank you to today's sponsor, Yes Auto. Yes Auto is the one-stop shop for buying any car, with an experience that's always easy and enjoyable. Navigating onto the website, you can select each brand that you want to look at, each model, and even down to colour variant. You can also select through the images, as well as looking at brand new cars in 360 degrees inside and out. I myself spend a lot of time just looking at cars for sale, so it's awesome to jump on the Yes Auto website to have a look at cars for sale. You can even do a smart search on new and used cars with an option to select cash price or monthly costs. Their aim is to make car buying easy and enjoyable. Yes Auto are the one-stop shop offering a simple, impartial way to configure and compare new and used cars from almost any manufacturer, with a whole load of clever tools and media content for total reassurance. Once again, a huge thank you to Yes Auto for sponsoring today's video. There is a link in the description to the Yes Auto website. Thank you so much again to Yes Auto for sponsoring today's video, but let's get back to the action. So, ooh, yeah! Wow, that's actually very, very sticky. The rear end is sat on wider wheels with Michelin Pilot Sports on the back. Nice and sticky today because it's actually really hot. Perfect scenario for a supercharged E92. This car, I've shot a similar car to this one way back, you know, a few years ago now, but it wasn't on my home turf. It wasn't in and around the roads that I know the most. So the owner has told me to enjoy this thing, so let's roll on in second. Wow, it revs so fast. The E92 is incredibly fast to rev to start with. Third gear. The traction light is like that. He's flashing its head off in this thing. Wow, the power delivery, although these are, you know, very fast from the factory, the low down torque this supercharger actually gives this car is pretty biblical. Oh, I'd love to take this on a track. I bet it is an absolute monster on track. You have to point this thing in a straight line. It will break traction. Yes, there is some very good equipment on this thing. The rear tyres are absolutely massive and are brand new. Second gear. the violence, let's right, the how violent this thing comes in, right? So 3,000 RPM, it's actually very happy to stonk all of its power down. You don't have to rev this thing. Yes, it will go incredibly fast when you go past 5,000 RPM. So second gear, 3,500 RPM, instant torque. Oh my god, he's changed up into third then, and the traction is just going mad. It is able to put its power down. Again, if this was in the wet, if this was on some, you know, not very nice roads, you would have a totally different experience. This one is actually physically putting its power to the ground, to the rear wheels. Yes, the traction is coming in a little bit, it's catering down the power, but it's going to, you know, we're not on the stickiest of tarmacs, we're not on the stickiest of tyres. I love the way these things blip down. It's actually had a GTS gearbox map as well, so it's actually incredibly fast to change gear. The DCTs I thought were good anyway. This one's had a gearbox remap, and I tell you, they've done a fantastic job at just rate that this thing changes up and down gear. So yeah, this is running the ESS 625 Supercharger with a methanol kit in the back by AEM, and it has these Strom STR3 wheels that really set off this car with a little bit of spacer on them to give it that thickness that the M3 deserves. It's got these big Ap calipers and braking system. Again, when you're putting 200 odd horsepower more into a car, I do feel like you should be definitely putting some big boy brakes on the car. This is no exception. It's had £19,000 worth of modifications, this car has. So to build an identical car to this with new parts, the Superchargers are horrendously expensive, don't get me wrong, but you have to do everything else as well. It isn't just that Supercharger kit. You have decap pipes on this one as well to really enhance the sound and of course get a little bit more power out of it. You don't want to be restricting that Supercharger at all in the, you know, exhaust flow and all that sort of business when it comes to it. Fourth gear, even fourth gear, 3,000 RPM. Instant torque from that Supercharger. The funny thing is, and this is what I got from the first time I ever drove a supercharged M car, was that you can't hear the Supercharger, but you can feel it. Feeling a Supercharger is a very, very different experience to the sound of one. I love the sound of an American Supercharger going whee in the background. This one, you can't hear it, but you as hell can feel it. You can feel it really low down in the rev, and even we're in fifth gear cruising, instant torque from that Supercharger, which really changes the way the E92 drives. Usually these cars, you know, you really do have to rev them to get any power out of them. You will get a lot of power out of them, and it is very, very enjoyable to rev these things, but this becomes onto its own. It's a very, very different animal when it comes to having low down torque on an M car. It's something that I've experienced in the newer versions, you know, the variants with turbocharging. Something with a naturally aspirated engine like this doesn't necessarily get that low down torque most of the time. This one does, and it is horrendously enjoyable. It is so nice to drive, and you can poodle like we are right now very, very easily, or you can flip a couple of gears. Instant power, and it's so enjoyable because of that low down torque. And yes, you can drive this thing, you know, at 100% if you want on the red line, and it will, you know, create the excitement that a normal M car does, but it has that other side of it that you would again usually find in a newer style M car. Yeah, this is an absolute animal, this thing, and it's set up so well. When the power does come on, there's no sort of squirreling from the rear end. It really does hunker down and actually put its power down, which is again a breath of fresh air for me. I drive a lot of cars that sometimes, you know, the power's there but the setup isn't. This is a totally different car where the setup is really what makes this car what it is. And yeah, hats off to you, mate. You have built one hell of a car here. It is mental. Chuck it in this corner, nice and grippy. All of the power feed on the other end. Yeah, this is just one of the all-time greatest setups you can put into a car. It's so good. Even down the back roads of the Isle of Wight, it's unbelievable to drive. On a track, this would trump many, many things. It would be hilariously enjoyable as well. And if you wanted to, you know, drive it to a track, it's so nice in here. It's comfy, it's sublime to drive just as a daily car. Then when you want to put the hammer down, yeah, what a car, man, what a car. unbelievable build. But thank you so much for watching, guys. If you did like this style of video, please give it a like, subscribe below if you haven't to this channel for more car review videos like this, and I'll see you all on the next one.